Hey everyone, we have Alex here today joining us on the podcast. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Ravi. How's everything?
Great. You're calling in from Alberta,
Yes,
correct?
yes, I'm calling from Calgary, yes.
Whereabouts? Calgary. Okay. How's it in Calgary right now?
It's good. Weather-wise, it's good. Some other
Good.
things can be better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How's
yeah.
Calgary dealing with the lockdown?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Initially I kind of followed the news, but then it became very repetitive and I, I frankly stopped following the news. I think
Yeah.
they're unlocking a lot of the public spaces in June.
Hmm.
Schools are still going to be closed, obviously, for the rest of the year. I know they're opening some restaurants, bars also in June.
Yeah.
Yeah, so things are looking better actually.
Absolutely. So, you came to us from Startup Fuel's Global Challenge, Innovation Challenge, right? I believe that's how we got connected here for this podcast. Can we talk a little
Yes.
bit about the challenge and your involvement? What's your company and what's your pitch?
Yes, of course. Yeah, so frankly, the connection to this whole COVID-19 crisis with what we're doing started, say, 6 months ago before the
Hmm.
outbreak became, such a big deal. But then after it happened, we saw that naturally what we're doing is really well connected, especially with what was happening in the food industry.
Hmm.
Those closures in the food plants in the US and Canada. And this problem is not going away. It's here to stay. So we
Hmm.
kind of learned that what we're doing really has very significant impact on the industry, right?
Yeah.
And then kind of from this realization, we saw those different challenges around COVID-19 and, decided to apply. Yeah, and here we are.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
can tell a bit about what we're doing, go into some more details.
Yeah. Can you go into more details? What's
Yeah,
the project?
sure. So we're really helping food uh, companies, food processors to improve safety and health of their food and to
Hmm.
prevent product recalls and
Hmm.
also to help them run their equipment faster in a safer and responsible way that will
Hmm.
help them to boost food production. Because today they have a big problem with foreign material contamination in the food, mostly
Yeah.
in meat products, small pieces of plastic, metal, other foreign material ends up in the food, and this is obviously not good for anyone.
Yeah.
um, Last year was a record year when it comes to product recalls due to foreign material contamination. That was the biggest ever product recall in the history of the industry last year, which really served as a wake-up call, I would say, to the whole industry. Um, so initially, with our technology, we were kind of looking into the industrial space, more
Hmm.
traditional applications where vibration analysis is well established and well known. But then we went to Techstars, a startup accelerator in the US. We spent 3 months in Indianapolis going through this program, which is really eye-opening and opened up, a whole new host of opportunities for us. And one of those connections was with this big food company, right? We started talking to them, started to really understand their problem and understand what they're trying to solve, what they're trying to do. This was a process. It took time, and then kind of after I would say 5 6 months, we officially signed an agreement with them, and we're doing a pilot project in one of their facilities in the US. Um, yeah, so the technology itself is pretty cool. It's actually a non-contact and remote laser-based sensor.
Hmm.
Originally, it was designed to capture vibrations, but now we kind of extended it. Now we're actually able to monitor conveyor systems
So
in food.
sorry. So you
Yeah.
create a hardware product, right?
Yes.
The sensor. So
Yeah.
how is the sensor involved in food uh, um contamination and protecting food?
Yes. So what we're doing, we're actually preventing food contamination in the first place. So right now, what they're doing, they're deploying very expensive equipment like X-ray machines, metal detectors, hyperspectral cameras to look at the actual food itself and to determine any foreign material. We're taking it one step further. We're actually looking at the conveyors on which the product moves. Apparently, the
Hmm.
conveyors are a big source of foreign material contamination. Because they move very fast, they're very small metal plastic pieces that break off relatively often. So we are looking at the conveyors themselves, and we look at the health and the condition of them, and we help to predict and prevent when a failure would happen before it happens. So this way,
So sorry,
they're always, yeah.
are you talking about the actual conveyor belt, like machinery, or
Yeah.
what's on the conveyor belt, like the actual?
No, the machinery itself. The machinery itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the machinery itself. So that is your hypothesis, that is pieces that is where the food contamination happens generally.
Yes. Yes. I'm not saying all of the foreign material comes from that, but a big portion
just
of
that
it.
part. But just that part of the process.
Yes. Yes. A big portion
How
of
does
that.
that? So can you get more granular with
Yeah.
that? Can you explain
Yeah.
to us, like, how does this machine or this failure of this machine make food contaminated?
It has those are called modular conveyors systems. They are made from, I would say, those little elements that are connected together, like wire mesh, almost like a wire link or wire mesh type of structure. And this is required to enable airflow and drippage, So it's a stainless steel conveyor, and the wires are relatively very thin, and also they're very small components to kind of hold them together, and they move very fast, right? So the conveyors move really fast, way beyond their design speed, right? So basically, wires get broken, they get bent, they get damaged over time. The conveyor itself kind of moves left and right, hits the edge of the structure, releasing very small dust-like particles, right? Which are really impossible to detect. So we're looking at the conveyor itself to detect those issues. Any broken wires, deformed, bent wires, any movement of the conveyor just shouldn't happen, right?
Yeah, and these carry raw food like meats.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes. They
So
do.
yeah, I understand better now, like how that can be very important to us. Like, and how does this sensor help in that management?
So this is a very challenging environment, and the company we're working with is really big. They're the biggest poultry producer in the world. They have money, they have budget to try different approaches. So they actually tried a lot of sensors to try to capture the data. They tried vision-based, image-based cameras. They tried acoustic. Didn't work because the conveyors are very small. Like I said, components are very small. They move very fast, and you can't be very close to the conveyors themselves because there's raw food on it, right? You have to be very far away. And once you move away, you lose a lot of the resolution, and it's really very hard to detect something. So what we're doing, we're building our solution from scratch. It's a laser-based sensor, which uses a different approach. We actually look at different components of the conveyor as they cross the laser beam, and we can detect a lot of information relatively accurately from far away, right? So
awesome. So it's is it like an optical reader, or is it like using laser beams as like a machine like reading interface? Like it just reads.
it's a laser beam. It's a laser beam. Yeah.
It's a laser beam.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then like and then the system, like it's almost like a machine vision, right? You can see if there's any kind of issues wrong with the machine, like it's using the laser to read it.
Usually, machine vision would apply to like image-based sensors, like actual. In our case, it's not really. We don't have a image sensor. It's more like a optical laser sensor, but the effect is the same, I would say.
Yeah. So basically, this laser system is looking for any disfigurations, anything that is abnormal from the baseline.
Yeah.
What it's
exactly.
supposed to. Okay.
Exactly.
And just installing that. So do you have like any kind of study or any kind of numbers about how much this reduces food contamination or like improves the life cycle?
Well, not yet, no. We do. Mostly our knowledge comes from the company we're working with. So, we don't really share those numbers, but I can say that this is a leading cause for foreign material contamination.
Yeah.
If it's metal, plastic, it's coming from the conveyors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Geez, I mean that's really horrifying to have metal and plastic contaminating your food, right? So can we
Well,
talk about
no,
yeah?
no,
Can
go
we talk
ahead. Yeah.
about yeah? Can we talk about how you got into this? Like what brought you into making this product?
Yeah, of course. So this was really more of an opportunity. It kind of was more like a matchmaking process happened between our technology and this problem we discovered. But really, my background is mostly technical. I have my master's in double E back from Israel, and I spent most of my uh, career time there. I was working in Samsung R&D center back in Israel, Intel, Broadcom, doing mostly hands-on technical engineering and product development. And then I I got a job offer here in Calgary with a local startup. I spent a couple of years also developing sensors.
Hmm.
My background is really sensors, RF analog circuits, kind of all optics, lasers. That's kind of my background originally.
Hmm.
It was very natural for me to do something in that space. But the idea for this technology really came from a random conversation I had with one of my friends. And I realized that we can just take something off the shelf and modify that and really have something new that measures vibrations, right? The initial focus was to measure vibrations, which we still do, by the way. There's a whole new big set of applications in the industrial space for us. Right now, we're focusing on the food because that's the biggest opportunity. But still, vibrations is really important when it comes to machinery, health, and condition of equipment, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. So I mean, the path was pretty. I would say we focused. We did everything we shouldn't have done when it comes to building a company. You start from a problem first, not from technology. This was more of an engineering project initially, but then really got lucky to be able to connect this opportunity on the market side, right? Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Cool. I mean, that's super interesting that you saw this product as like before you even saw the business around it, right? Like you saw the capability of what you can do to combine these things, and then you built a business around that. Like, are you like
yeah,
a maker by heart? Like, do you always make stuff? Like, what's your history in when it comes to like build tinkering and building things?
yeah. I love changing things. I love trying to do things differently. Honestly, I get bored relatively quickly, which is maybe not
Hmm.
a good, it's not a good feature when you're an entrepreneur because there's a lot of days where you're gonna have to do hands-on, maybe not the most interesting job, but still,
Yeah.
I think the spark is really, at least in me, is to try to. I love challenges. I always love
Mm.
challenges. I love natural challenges. I don't like really. I like challenges that come either from the physical world or from the nature, which really are not easily solved, right? So,
Hmm.
back in my days in Samsung, I developed a different way to implement a certain circuit, try to make it more efficient, and got a patent on it. Got a patent also back in my days in masters when I was doing my masters. So yeah, I was always looking for that thing, something different, right?
Yeah.
Even in my masters, I went in totally different direction. I really kind of shot myself in the foot.
Hmm.
I was trying to do something different and new there. I went against my kind of supervisor, which normally you shouldn't do. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Can we talk a little bit about that? Like, what was that process like? Because in a big company to innovate, it's pretty hard, right?
it
There's
is
a
hard.
lot of like there's a lot of roadblocks, right? Can you talk
It
a
is
little bit about
hard.
what you're trying to create and what happened?
It is hard. Yeah, yeah. You mean when I was working in a big company? You mean or when?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to
Well,
innovate with there. Yeah.
you start by taking ownership on a specific project. Then you look what was done before you. Talk to the engineers and you see what was the actual, legacy design. Then you basically the set of requirements, specifications you have to meet, right?
Mhm.
And then usually you would see if you can meet that with what you already have and kind of tweak it a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
and then kind of so forth. I mean, when I was in Samsung, that's what I did. But then, I saw that there's a problem with the legacy design. There's a gap there, and they're trying to solve it. And then I spent really months and months to try to understand how to make it better. But even if like a small percentage of efficiency, still it's better. Yeah, it was very fulfilling, really, for me. But then I realized this is really more of a one-time thing. You don't expect it to do it on a continuous basis. So the focus is not really on innovation. It's on meeting deadlines, meeting specs, and budgets. So that's it.
So, I mean, how different is it to come from like a giant company like that, where you're part of this innovation machine, to step out and have to do it yourself, all by yourself? How's that transition been to being an entrepreneur?
Well, honestly, it's pretty scary. Initially, it's pretty scary. you have pets there. Yeah, it's pretty scary. It's like, I don't know if you ever, scuba dive, but when you go under the water and then you see the bottom and then you go to the open sea and there's nothing underneath you. It's a very eerie feeling. You don't know what lies beneath you, right? So
yeah,
I can maybe relate to this a little bit. Yeah, it's like there's no safety net. At least that's what I felt. On one hand, it really pushes you, and you always find a way. It helps you to be more resourceful.
What was the motivation in taking that jump from working in a company, from a safe position, to be like, I want to build something?
Honestly, I just got bored. Honestly, I just got bored. I spent my time there, and I felt like, I contributed, and I look at other people in other positions, and I kind of saw myself in a few years being there, and I just couldn't come to terms with that, honestly. So I say, I have to get away, right? And then it started as a small project, side project, as a hobby, really. But then we found our first supporter, company who was willing actually to give us some money to develop the prototype. And then we connected with some professors from the University of Calgary. They were gracious enough to help us during the process and lend their lab and the facility, and we kind of worked there for a year. And then basically we got some more funding after that, and then Techstars happened, which was a pivotal point, right?
Yeah. So how'd you get into Techstars? Like, what was that process like? Did you know about Techstars beforehand?
I did.
Did you apply? Okay. And what was that process? Yeah,
it was really fun. I mean, it was an amazing experience. I mean, my program manager, she's just one-man army. She's just, I just, I adore her. She's super, super high octane energy person.
Yeah.
But the connection really was made. I heard about Techstars. I knew the company from Calgary that applied and successfully was accepted to the one accelerator in Oslo. But it was like energy focused, right?
Yeah. Was Techstars virtual or was it in person? Did you have to go out there?
It was in person.
In person. So this is in Portugal, right?
No.
Techstars running in Portugal now?
No. My program was in Indianapolis, in the US.
Okay.
Techstars
Indianapolis, all right.
They're everywhere, right? They have programs all over the world, right?
Okay.
So the way it works, they partner with the local entity, whether it's a corporate, usually it's a corporate, really. And then they open up a program together with them, which is really focused on specific vertical. In our case, it was deep tech, looking at how can we disrupt traditional industries. So they partnered with the Heritage Group, which is a group of 30 companies who have more traditional businesses like construction, chemicals, roadwork, asphalt. So it's more like a traditional industry. And they were looking for ways to innovate in that space. So they invited 10 companies. We spent amazing 3 months there. I mean, I can't say enough amazing words on Techstars. Really, it's for life, really. I mean, what they say,
Absolutely.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
If once you go through the program, you really, stay there for life.
Absolutely. I've heard a lot of people say the same thing, and it's a great bunch of advisors and people working there, definitely.
Right? Oh yeah, very talented, smart people.
Now, is this your first time being an entrepreneur and building something?
Officially, yes. I mean, the company started in 2017. There was no other company before that, right? It was my first time. Oh yeah.
Yep. Perfect. And how was that experience? What did you have to learn to know how to run a company? Like more than the product.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're still early stage, right? I don't want to just say that, we made it, right? We're not out of the woods yet,
Yeah.
right? So we're very much
Yeah.
still, we are deep in the,
Have you had to hire anybody? Have you had to like
yeah,
give out
we are a team of,
equity? Like, yeah.
we're a team of 5 right now. All of us
Mhm.
are technical, and none of us is officially an employee. We're all on a contract, but we're
Yeah.
very, very
And
focused.
are these, are your, like, are these all co-founders, employees? Are there friends that you had that joined you on this? Or like, did you have to go out and scout them and acquire them? Like, how was that growth of the company, the team?
So really, right now, we're not really bothered with titles, right? Right now, it's mostly getting the job done, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I just officially, initially it was just me, like the sole founder. Then I found another person. She's more into software / embedded software or firmware, but also hardware too. And then we kind of worked together out of the University of Calgary. And then kind of we knew what we wanted, what kind of people we needed. Then we just hired more people, mostly from my network. Yeah, LinkedIn is a great tool, right? So from my
Yeah.
network, just talking to people, see who has the right qualifications and experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't. I think it's very toxic for a company at early stage to start talking about titles and positions and responsibilities. You just get the job done, then you reach specific threshold beyond which you say, now we can raise money. After we raise money, then it becomes really more, official, right? Right now, all we have is really some pre-seed funding, some money from our client. Yeah, but we haven't raised like an official seed round, right?
Yep. Yep. That's interesting because let's talk about like the culture of no titles versus titles. I mean, like you came from a big company where like that things ran through an efficient process. People had titles, people had responsibilities and key objectives, and
Yeah.
companies generally at that level, the people even run like an engineered the team, right? Like there's flows of information, there's
Yeah.
quality controls being put in place, right?
Yeah.
So coming from that kind of background, why did you choose to go for a culture where no one has any titles and it's more free floating than for get people to focus on specific areas of business?
Well, when it comes to technical, everything is super focused, right? Because that's my background, right? So for me, but when I say titles, I mean like business titles, right? Right now,
Mm,
people are all technical, right? They all do what they're good at, what they know best, right? Um, some people say that in startup, you kind of need to do a bit of everything, right?
mm-hmm.
That may be true. That's true. But when it comes to really technology development, like innovative technology development, you can't have people all over the place, right? People need to focus on specific area in which they're good at, right? So in this case, it's not really free flowing. Someone's doing hardware, someone's doing mechanical design, someone's doing software, someone's doing the
Mm,
integration, the testing, someone's doing data processing, right? So it's
yeah,
all very well, defined.
yeah,
When it comes to business titles, yeah, I think at this stage, we're not there yet. We're focused really on execution right now. Execution, we get this to the market. I mean, we build our unit, we deploy it, right? Um, we'll talk to the client, understand their feedback and their needs, right? Raise funding, and then you have titles, like official titles in place, right? Um, yeah, I mean, I have nothing against hierarchy or like official structures. It's been around for decades, been working very efficiently. But I think when you're a small startup, small team, you have to, um, I guess, put this on hold and kind of focus on what you need to do next, right?
mm.
Kind of take
So
one step at a time.
how do you communicate those realms of responsibilities?
I talk to people. We talk all the
Mm.
time. We talk all the day. We have stand-ups. We use Asana as a project management tool. Um, yeah, we have
Sorry, what was the last one? What was the tool?
Asana.
Oh, Asana. Yeah,
Asana. Yeah, we use Asana as a
yeah,
project management tool. Yeah,
yeah.
and we're always kind of on top of things, right?
Yeah. Was that a skill you had to develop, like how to manage everyone and get everyone coordinated as a team?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it took some time to develop. Yeah, it doesn't come naturally, right? So you kind of have to understand what's reasonable, what's not reasonable to expect from people, how to keep track of everyone's work and time, what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And help them, right? So I see myself as someone who removes roadblocks for them as much as I can, right? Just to make
Mm,
their job easier and make sure they're not stuck, right?
yeah. No, it's great. I mean, it's a great kind of culture to build where people kind of feel like they have ownership on certain parts of the business, certain
Yeah.
structure, but still feel like glued together as a team, right?
Yes, and
So
yeah,
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I come from a sales culture, and with sales, like the hierarchy is super interesting. It's like it gives you like key performance indicators, right? Like this person is ahead. I've gotten ahead of you because they've done this. Like
yeah,
one of the things you can appreciate about sales is that there's direct key performance indicators. You know how much
yeah,
sales you've
KPI,
done over what period of time, and it's
yeah,
quantifiable, right?
yeah,
Growth patterns can be mapped out. Like everything can be quantified, and like in sales, it actually attracts a lot of Type A personalities, right?
yeah,
Who are also risk takers in a weird sense, right? And the people who are really good at sales, like very quantified. They know how to structure themselves and operate and run. That's how I've found,
sure,
especially in B2B sales, right?
sure.
But I guess like the like a lot of frustrations with blending technical teams with sales teams and marketing teams is a different skill sets you need to understand the different realms of the business, like different realms of like how to operate. So nowadays, like a lot of companies and a lot of firms are atomizing, right? So a company would focus on, okay, we're a product company, we focus on building a product. But when we need to
Right.
market, we hire a marketing agency,
Yeah,
right? When we need to build a particular type of software, we'll hire a software agency. Well, right. And also now, what we do is sales outsourcing. So companies have become more interested in outsourcing their sales to somebody else. And we're seeing these like people who are hyper focalizing in certain stream of a business, which would normally be horizontally divided, now becoming more verticals that are like compiled together. Businesses and third-party agencies all blend together to make like a joint venture almost. I take a bet behind this IP that's been created, right?
interesting, really.
Uh, right? Like this is what I'm really interested in. Like how, like, are you deploying partnerships? Do you work well with other agencies and other
Yeah,
things? Like, do you have a decentralized model of operating, or are you internalized things and everyone running things internally right
yeah. No, it's interesting. You should mention that. I mean, we don't have an official, in-house sales team or marketing team, right? Because we're all
now?
technical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we do use an external agency mostly for lead generation. Um, and yeah, one has been with them for us, I think, a month only. I think it was been more like a trial period, right? Um, I learned to understand the critical importance of sales when I uh, when I joined Techstars, right? As an
Yeah.
engineer, it doesn't come to you naturally, doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, engineers maybe tend to look down on salespeople, and they tend to maybe shun them or something. Yeah, I learned that this is crucial. Without sales,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing, obviously, right?
Yep.
So for us, I think the way we approach this is, we're open to working with external agencies because, like I said, we don't have the skill set in house, right? We don't have the resources to bring a full time team on board, right? Don't.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't have also time to manage, sales team. But when it comes to sales, the first sales always have to be done by the founders, right? You have to be at the forefront. At least at the beginning, you have to do this, right? That's, I think, at this stage, that's where we are. We are really at the forefront because this is a completely new technology, completely new approach to the
Mm.
problem. No one's really done this before, right? So just to go and activate the full sales team behind it right now, it would be just unwise, I think. Unwise. It can crash and burn very, very quickly if you don't know what you're selling and if it's uh,
Absolutely.
not coordinated with the technical team, right? Right. Yeah, we're at a stage where we're trying to get pilots. That's our priority right now. We're focused on getting as many pilots as we can, especially with the travel ban between US and Canada now. We want to do pilots here at home, right? And that's been quite challenging, honestly. I found also from my time spending in the US, I found that the Americans are much more business friendly than we have here in Canada, which is really unfortunate, right? But they are much more open to innovation, to conversation, at least to learn and to understand and to see if there is, there's a fit. I can say we're having much success here in Canada, at least at the early stages, right? I think Canada will be a great second market for us once we are more established in the US and kind of have more track record, have more more customers there. Yeah, but I think for us when we raise the seed round, that would be a pivotal point at which we want to bring sales talent on board, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think you have mapped out the traditional growth of a startup pretty well, right? Founders run, keep running sales until they exhaust their relationships. Generally, founders, they created a product or service, yes, because they've created something cool, but also they have a target market in mind, a problem that they specifically made this tool to solve, right? And generally, you want to bring in like a sales agency or a sales company in when you exhaust your founder level reach, right? Your founder level efforts. The founder cannot be no longer full-time sales, and you need to bring in somebody else to like create a system to to generate the traffic. That's when you need like an external company or internal sales team built. And we're finding it's really interesting, especially when it comes to like manufacturing technologies and industrial technologies. A lot of these businesses are built off of relationships. Like sales is really funny. Like I'm talking to a lot of people right now, and the lockdown really has the pandemic really has accelerated this process. Is that because of technology, right? We're actually reverting culturally, right? It used to be that people's purchasing habits were more transactional, but now the trust is such a commodity that the buyer journey is based off of, do I know you? Do I have a relationship? Right? Is there a presence that you have online or somewhere that we can get to know each other? Right?
Yeah.
It's one of the main reasons we find this kind of communication, putting up a podcast, putting up long form content to be so engaging, is that people who want to do business want to know who's on the other end now, right? Because marketing is so cheap. When you throw up a banner and build a blog and throw up a bunch of things together, make you look like a legit company. Right? It's so easy, and the cost of entry is so easy to make yourself look legit that the trust factorness of throwing money at legitimacy is gone. Now people want to go back to like, do you know who I know? Who have you done business that I might know of? Right? What are the names that you've done business with? Right? They fact check you, and because Google is so easy, right? There needs to be much more verification in the marketplace. So I think the buyer journey, especially in between businesses, B2B, has reverted back to an age where like, do I know the person on the side? What are their beliefs? Do they believe what I believe? We come from similar ideologies and backgrounds, and it's interesting to see that. But anyways, going back to this topic, right? Like once you have this tool up and running and you have product, what do you see yourself as a company being? Like, are you going to be hyper focused on this particular tool, or are you solving a particular problem of food contamination, or are you trying to make industrial processing faster, more convenient, and more streamlined? Like, what's your core focus here?
Yeah, that's a good and tricky question. Yeah, that's a big problem with the companies to focus right on specific vertical, right? I think it depends. It depends how a pilot goes. If our pilot with a food company goes well, then we definitely want to focus on that 100%. This is a big opportunity, especially with this COVID-19 new reality we all live in, where if you remember, the whole thing erupted because of the food crisis in Asia, right? Where trying to feed billions of people, it's not an easy task, right? So they're trying to really see how they can do it in a safe and responsible way.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what we are connected to. I mean, this is a much bigger picture that we have here. Being able to contribute to safer, more healthier food production on a global scale and to be able to boost it, it's such a privilege to be able to be involved with this, right? Yep. Beyond just the financial or the business aspect of it, but just on the personal level, on your kind of on your personal journey, right? To have this kind of impact, it's really amazing, right? So that's what my goal is. My goal is to make sure the pilot goes as smooth as possible, will be a big success, and then we can focus on that, right? Then I think in the next 2 years at least we'll be focused on that, because the food industry is just such huge industry globally, right? Not just here. It will take time to really scale through this vertical, right? So,
absolutely.
But I definitely do see ourselves going back to the industrial space. Depends on the opportunities that will arise, because I can already see, because I'm talking to people from both verticals, I can see in the industrial space, there is more openness, right? There is more willingness to explore innovative solutions, to automate, to collect data, right? Because right now for us, we don't need to deploy any hardware. I mean, the biggest selling point when it comes to industrial application is that there is no cost to collect data. Now data is basically free. Whereas before that, they had to install physical sensors everywhere. And no, people always say, oh, sensors are cheap, they're cheap. Well, when it comes to industrial sensors, they're not. They're not cheap. You have the enclosure, you have the electronics inside, you have the battery. It's a system, small system. So you want to collect thousands of data points or to deploy thousands of sensors. That's quite a capital, investment. In our case, we don't need any of that. Just point and shoot, collect all the data you could ever need, right? So I think people are beginning to realize that, and there's a couple of companies we're talking to who are interested, but I can't say that something is moving in that space, not yet. But I think once they move forward with the food industry, the industrial applications will be, like a second, third place. The ones who are more established, we have more revenue coming in from the food sector, we can go back to industrial applications, right?
Cool. I mean, it's quite a vision, definitely, especially in the shifting landscape where the pandemic accelerated a rate of change in changing industrializations, and these large industries are becoming open to change, right? Hopefully that gives you a credence to move your product inside and helps with the new wave of industrialization that's coming in. Right? I mean, that's really what these sensors are, right? It's helping foster a new wave of industrialization using machines and higher output thinking to be deployed in our industrial processes. So, Alex, I wish you guys the best. It's been a really cool episode to get into. I know we started a little late, but we actually ended a little later. But let's stick around for about a few minutes and do a quick debrief. But till then, guys, everyone who joined in, thank you for listening in. This has been Alex, and his follows amazing product. Where can people find you?
Just go to our website, eoi-technologies.com. Everything is there. All the information is there. Yeah.
Perfect.
We don't have a lot of online presence. Just the website is really the big focal point for what we're doing.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me, Ravi.